Hi! If you're anything like me, you would like to know the backstories behind all the people that are in your life, the healers, the therapists. How did they come there? How did they get there? What drove them? And so this video, I would like to satisfy your curiosity on how I became a life coach, a holistic life coach. Hello everyone. I was wondering if you're wondering who I truly am and what is behind this professional life coach. The personal stories definitely make us want to relate to people more. So here's mine, and the story of how I became a life coach. I was born in the Soviet Union times. I'm telling you now how old I am. And it's okay, age is just age. So yeah, I was born in Soviet Union in a culture, for those who don't know, of oppression of thought, oppression of expression, and the need for perfection, the absolute desire for perfection. If you remember the times or you read about the times, it was Soviet athletes were the best, the most perfect, the most driven. The scientists were the best, or very driven in any case, etc., etc. It was throughout the society that pressure on the parents to create perfect children, and on the society to create perfect society, which of course only humans, how, because it's impossible, it's not. But that's what it was, which resulted in me. My parents who loved me dearly. I don't have a parents' trauma, a big parent trauma, but they loved me dearly, and they tried to help me fit in, and I couldn't, and I wouldn't. There was always something that just wasn't fitting in about me, including my appearance, the eye, the weight. The loudness, the exuberance, the too much there-ness, and that definitely was from an early age, from my kindergarten. I remember being laughed at for being too much, too loud, I was walking with my hands that were moving too much. I was commanding people. I was in charge. It was just too much for the culture where everybody conformed from a very early age. So yeah, eventually I conformed as well and became a shy student with whom grades were the most important thing. So my school years went. I was in those years I was very there was a big, one of big influences. One of big influences during those time was my grandmother and her life in the village. We're talking proper village, where there's the main central street, where people come and talk and do stuff, and that was my connection to nature and connection to traditions. And at some stage, my grandmother, when the kids got a fright, and I got a fright and I couldn't sleep at night, she called on the relative who could whisper. And whispering meant telling prayers, certain types of prayers, while in this case rubbing the belly button, and around the belly button, and the as they called the fright would go away. This was my first introduction to energy healing or anything of that, but it made a huge impression, even though I think I was 8 or 9 at the time. And the family member was, she was not there present all the time, but she was always in the background. So to me, it wasn't scary at all, this experience. It was just nice. On top of my not conforming, I also was very empathetic. And empathetic in the culture where emotions are not to be seen and not to be heard and not to be expressed, it was a very difficult task. Crying about people's suffering was definitely not something that my parents could allow me to do, let alone the society. So that all went way deep down to be discovered decades later. At some stage I was lucky enough, or it was my path, I believe more it was my path, to break out from this conformity to the outside world, and I became an exchange student in the US, and then studied in college in the US as well, and I discovered a completely different side of culture. There was now people who didn't care what the outside world said to that extent as it was important in my culture. People who were allowed to express themselves, people who were allowed to have feelings, people who were allowed to not conform, people who were encouraged to have their own personalities and their own tastes. And of course the choice was overwhelming as well, for somebody who came from a culture where you were just given choice between one and one. So that was fascinating discovery in the opposite direction of individualism, me, and also what was very interesting to me is how within that me, there was so much volunteering and helping communities and helping others and having this heart open for other people's suffering. In my home country, we were definitely society oriented, but that help extended only to the family. It didn't extend to outside people, usually friends, family, but that's it. And I was very impressed in the US when I saw that people would gladly make dinners for poor people, or invite strangers to their dinner table, or spend their time on the weekend working towards a cause that has nothing to do with them specifically. It was fascinating. So this is when I started looking within a little bit and allowing myself to actually getting my empathy back out again. Took another many years before I got to South Africa, and I was a mother by that stage, and then it was time for me to fulfill my role of mothering and keeping home. And in Belarus, the role of a mother comes with the role of a healer. And so all the women are also, or traditionally were seen as a person you would go to. Okay, what do I need? If I have this and this symptom, which herbs do I need to drink? Which do I need to see energy healer? It was all, and most of the energy healers were also women. So that was my role, and I stepped into it with not unconsciously, and then I realized that I'm lacking knowledge. So I got up on some knowledge by learning from various shamans and energy healers in South Africa, and discovered the whole tradition of healing from Belarus called whispering grandmothers, which is exactly what had happened to me when I was a kid. It was a whispering, when that little saying a prayer while my relative took the soft part of the bread, made a ball out of it, and said the prayer while rolling the ball around my belly button. And then it was very important that this ball was eaten by an animal, in this case. So I discovered that there's this tradition is alive and still present, although hidden, in my home country, and there is a very high chance that I also have this same energetic healing possibility running through my being, or I'm being open rather to that type of energy, which I found fascinating at first, and I found it helpful, and I wanted to use it to help people, but that I was still in the stage of helping meant me and family, like when I was back in the child helping and community were just extended family pretty much. During that time and before, I encountered people who would be drawn to me and tell me their stories and traumas, and in that absolute certainty that I can provide them with an answer, or at least with help, which was strange to me, because to me, who was I to be able to help those suffering people? And a little later I realized they were drawn to that energy of healing that I didn't quite know what to do. And somehow I managed to give them words of support or understanding that they found helpful. And so that was how I started listening to guidance beyond my brain, of how to approach people and what is the best way for each individual, and what are the best words for each individual. Eventually, I switched over to A Course in Miracles, which is a philosophical work and similar to Buddhism, but even more intense and deep. And I've been doing this for many years, until I realized that my guidance lies now in life coaching. It appeared, as with the course itself, it appeared out of blue in my life. I did not expect that now is the time to move on and continue extending my services and my knowledge and the inner trust that had been developed to other people. But yeah, I became a life coach out of curiosity first. I did the training out of curiosity, and by the time I finished with the training, it was a calling. I had it confirmed by a few people since then that they feel that this is definitely something that that is the next step for me in this development of energy and listening to guidance and fulfilling my purpose in this world. My name is Elena. I'm a holistic life coach. If you would like to know more about me, book an appointment, please visit www.openmindisup.me. The link is also at the bottom of this video. Thank you.